So Colleen has very diverse experience in engineering, international development, brain injury rehabilitation, and art for pleasure. She currently volunteers in the community, and in a sentence, empathy means to Colleen awareness and kindness to yourself and others. Colleen, your story is one of remarkable resilience, and we're very fortunate to be able to listen to it today. And I will pass it over to you, and I will pull up your slides. Hopefully they are the right ones, and hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here today. When the slides start, yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah, so go for it.
All right, so I'd like to use this as an opportunity to share a little bit about my experience of living with a brain injury and how I continue to create my new journey in my life. Personally, I was born and raised in Calgary, and I went to study engineering at UWO and get my master's in engineering for sustainable development at Cambridge in the UK. An expected career option would have been to come back home to Calgary and to pursue a career in the oil and gas sector. I chose instead to channel my passion and energy for complex problems and international issues and helping people in a different way. So for almost 4 years, I worked with Engineers Without Borders Canada and other nonprofit organizations, businesses, and local communities in many different countries in Africa. And I worked on creating new projects and teams that blossomed in their opportunities. And I'm very happy for that. But suddenly, in early August 2012, I mysteriously disappeared. So you can only imagine the shock that my parents felt when getting a phone call in the middle of the night, telling them that I was having seizures, and I was now in a hospital overseas. And the sudden need for my mom and sister and boyfriend to fly to South Africa to assist. My seizures were frequent and uncontrollable, so the doctors put me in a medically induced coma, and I was flown back home in an air ambulance to Calgary. I woke up weeks later, lying immobile in a hospital bed, and I was surrounded by what were essentially strangers. I had no knowledge of where I was, who I was, what had happened, and what was happening around me. It felt like 27 years of my life were now gone in a flash. Over time, after many tests and analysis, the doctors determined that I now have now both epilepsy and lupus of the brain, and some permanent brain damage as a result. With many different combinations of medications, the seizures became more manageable, but are still unpredictable. And I continue to struggle with short and long-term memory loss, which is a fundamental challenge in my newly daily life. With support from everyone around me, I've been able to slowly relearn some things like my name, the family, the date, how to count, walk, talk, eat, get dressed, and more. The everyday things that we tend to take for granted. My friends in Calgary came to visit me in the hospital, and I got letters from friends abroad, but I usually didn't know who these strangers were or where we had been. So when I came back home from the hospital, I was initially shocked and scared. I walked in the door and stood there, confused and lost, looking around, wondering what to do and where to go. And it was all equally as stressful for my family and friends, wondering if I would survive and what the future held for us. But over time, I have relearned many of those skills, but I didn't fit with the conventional rehabilitation program. Disability agencies often met with me, listening to my story, but concluded that I was too high functioning for their services. So with little to no outside help, my mom used her own creativity to help me rebuild my new life. My family and friends became and are my best and most reliable support through all of these years. Resilience is one of my most fundamental defining factors, but perhaps the hardest part has been accepting my new reality and changing my previous life plans and goals, learning to love and believe in myself again. Although I have tried, I have been unable to find work, so I used my time to volunteer in the community. I found pleasure in art, staying active, and I've taken a variety of courses to keep my mind active and engaged. I have experienced and learned a lot about neurology, something I didn't even know existed before, about how the mind is remarkably adaptable and can change to function more effectively. I've been able to share this experience with others and to keep building a deeper understanding on these issues. Gayatri, I think the slides have frozen. Anyways, during my brain injury, I now rely on other people for many things, but I am unable to live by myself. This is in some ways an unexpected opportunity because it gives me a chance to connect with people I wouldn't otherwise get a chance to know. And overall, this has not been easy. And there are times when I certainly wanted to give up altogether. But I've always been a determined woman, and I can use my past as a new stepping stone in my journey, reminding myself to be the best that I can be, and finding balance in my mind, body, and soul. So I am incredibly grateful for everyone who has helped me and continues to. And I hope that this has given you some understanding of what a person with a hidden injury is perhaps tackling, and that it gives brain injury survivors and caregivers alike the courage to continue and enjoy the miracles of life. Thank you.
Colleen, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful story with us. Honestly, I was getting goosebumps just listening to you speak, and the hardships that you've endured and the perseverance that you've shown to come out of that and relearn what you had to relearn. And I just wanted to share with you some of the words that the audience was messaging as you were speaking. Self-confidence, determination, perseverance, super inspirational, so motivating, exemplary. These were some of the words that the audience used to describe just the positive qualities that you've shown in your amazing journey. I guess the one question I would ask for you is, what advice would you give others, or I guess, what would you like people to better understand about a person with a disability?
Thank you, Gayatri. I know I asked you to ask that question for me. I'll be honest. But I think mostly I would like to say that it's important to see that a disability is only another challenge in our lives. And it may or may not be so easy to see. But for all of us, we have challenges. And it's important to remember that those challenges can be part of you, but it doesn't define you. And so I would encourage you to let that challenge be part of who you are, to grow and to live with it, and to remember that you create your life, and to always believe in yourself.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful message to leave us with. Just to keep believing in yourself and not let obstacles get in your way. Thank you so much, Colleen, for sharing your story.